We use them to communicate with our loved ones when we are apart. We send them to businesses to get information. We write them to ourselves to make a permanent record. Children write them to Santa, a letter, thoughts committed to paper, the printed word, to send a message.
Writing it down and doing that physical act of writing down what you really want and what you want to manifest is so important, because it's you're really like confirming what you want.
When I write it and able to keep my letters from year to year and look back on them and see the blessings, that's the way I look at it. It's like another form of prayer to me.
So when you write what you want and you're specific, then that brings it back. You plant that seed, and when you plant that seed, it gives it time to grow. And in growing, you grow.
You shouldn't try to make your letter perfect. You should write your letter to God just as if you're writing or talking to a friend, because God is our friend.
When you're writing, you may be questioning or having some questions to do. He will answer even in the process of writing.
Every year, thousands of people everywhere use that power to seek an intervention from a higher power to bring into manifestation their hopes, dreams, and desires by writing a letter to God.
Years ago, Hillside introduced me to a concept that I had never known of, thought of, and it was called write a letter to God.
I like the idea because it puts you in a frame of mind to really speak to the spirit within you, which you can claim what you desire.
At the end of the year, we have our members write letters to God. And in this letter to God, you're expressing or asking for the desires of your heart. Many of you were given this in your program. If you were not and you need paper and you haven't already written your letter to God, please raise your hand so that the ushers may bring it to you.
I learned to write out what my thoughts are and write them out to God, which is actually writing it back to myself.
I like to think of the letters to God not as letters to God at all, because it's not about God. It's about our own consciousness.
Each individual puts down whatever they want. Sometimes you'll find people put down material things that they want. They might want a new home.
And I had a picture of a new home, and I wasn't in a home at that time.
One of my largest accomplishments to date is purchasing my home.
They might want a car.
In my letters to God, that was an actual request that I was going to be driving a Jaguar. I saw myself driving it.
Or maybe they're looking for a job or whatever the case may be.
For the first letter that I wrote, I could remember, I think that I asked for more, maybe more material things because, at that time I probably needed and wanted it.
And we have to be very careful that we don't look at needs, we look at desires. Because according to Jesus' words, your needs have already been provided for. And it's the desire that comes straight from the within that you can dwell on, receive, accept, have faith to know, and move out with it.
So you can bring your letters down if you have them prepared and drop them in the box. And on New Year's Eve, we bring it to the church. We place it in a box, and it's prayed over. It's put in our prayer chapel. And that box and those prayers are prayed over the entire year.
I got some envelopes. I wrote my name and the address of that home on the envelopes. I sent them to myself with the intention that I would be in that house. And I received the house. Everything worked out perfectly, and I had my mind fixed on that was for me.
Those who get what they want expect it. It's a level of expectation. It's a level of knowing that your desire and God's desires are the same. And when those are lined up together, then that's going to manifest.
This picture that I really like of this home I put as my sidekick. And I realized that actually last week that that's the home I'm living in. Okay? We just bought a new home in October. And I praise God for that because I had that home in my vision. And then when I really realized it the other week, I was just you have to excuse me. I call it get my praise on. I get to shouting and jumping around the house sometimes because I'm truly thankful when I can see what the harvest, seeing what you sowed, seeing it reap. That's exciting to me.
So when I read my letter at the end of the year, I'm really amazed that, boy, I should have put something else in there because I kind of knew, and over the years I've learned that what I put out, I generally get.
Anything written, it's the feeling nature that is actually pinned to the paper. And in such as a name, like the names or the requests, initially it may not be shown or demonstrated or manifested. It is a process.
I go back and look at my letters for many years, and I see how my writing changed. My writing changed from this list, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, to an intimate letter to me, thanking for all that I have experienced and want to experience. Not just material things. Material things got smaller. Not that I had attained all the material things I wanted, but now it was more of this feeling. I wanted to keep going and keep growing, and I wanted to see it in other people, and I wanted to know, I wanted to be able to be an example.
When you plant a seed, you got to invest in it.
If it is your true desire, if you believe it, if you feel it, you got to act like it. You have to do all of the above for it to manifest. You can't have a flip action, run in at the last minute and say, oh, yeah, well, I want this, and boom, poof, it's going to happen, because that's not the way it works. And if that is what one expects, then they are setting themselves up for disappointment.
And so they just write a letter. They don't think about their faith, their courage to believe all year long. And when you don't invest in what you got, then the results are the same. So you get that all the time. I've been praying and praying and praying, and nothing's happened. But it's on you to know that it hasn't happened because you've changed your belief system.